Hello and good evening, and welcome to a special guest edition on The Shed. I'm delighted to be joined by a good friend of mine. This is our first time meeting face to face, but we have been chatting on Instagram and X and whatever you want to call it for a couple of years now. He's all the way from Drogheda. It's Dylan Farrell. Dylan, you're very welcome along to the show. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Trevor, for having me. I'm sure it will be a blast.
We'll have a bit of crack.
Sure. Any Americans watching this and get triggered by the word crack, don't worry.
Yes.
Don't think I have any crack here yet.
No, no. Dylan, you are a Denver Broncos fan and a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Tell us how that came about and tell us how you got into the NFL itself.
um, it's pretty much very straightforward, Trevor. What made the, the team aspect so easy was like most people, I have family in Denver, which made the Broncos a second, a first option um, choice. And as most people would probably agree or would know, you would always follow a team someone in your family follows. Um, in my case, my uncle, all my family are from Denver, and it was a no-brainer. The Steelers, um, again, my uncle and my late auntie, when she moved over to America, were Steelers fans, and again, it was a no-brainer. Then once I once the connection between Ireland and the Steelers really blossomed with the Roonies and the whole partnership with Croke Park, which at the time I had no clue about the Irish connection between the Steelers and Ireland. So that really made my mind up, and I I met a few people last year. Well, yeah, probably would be around this time last year, and I was wearing a Broncos cap, Steelers t-shirt, and I kept on saying, "Which team do you follow?" And I've always said Broncos, but you're wearing a Steelers top. Yeah, it's a long story, but it's 50-50. Then the actual love for football, kind of like as I said about the Broncos and Steelers, it just became natural. And since I want to say 10 years ago, I never looked back.
Fair play to you. Yeah, like I know myself, I have cousins that are in New York, and one of them moved out to Denver, and now this will be good 30 years ago. I knew nothing about the American football, as in only what you'd see the odd bit around, if it ever came on TV or if there was a magazine in the shop. And when I heard of Denver, I used to have a look at the Denver Broncos, and for a little while there in the mid 90s, because he lived in Denver, I'd have an inclination to go for Denver. But it's like yourself when you got to know the sport, you find your own roots and you make your own mind up then. Um, we'll talk about the Broncos first. So last year, um, Sean Payton, he moved out Russell Wilson and he brought in Bo Nix. And Bo Nix was a quality college quarterback, but he brought him in. Bo Nix surprised, I think, an awful lot of people, most people in the NFL, and how well he did. Do you see Sean Payton and Bo Nix and Co. Like they have the defensive player of the year in Patrick Surtain? Do you see them um, pushing on this year, or do you have not a fear, but a small worry that the second year syndrome might happen, like what happened with CJ Stroud last year, where you don't hit the peaks you hit in the first year, which is kind of natural with a young quarterback coming into the league.
Hmm, Not really to be quite honest, Trevor. We all know the, I wouldn't say legacy, but the impact Peyton had, especially with the Saints. Um, got touching back on 2024, uh, with Knicks being in the exact same category as JJ McCarthy, there was more light on McCarthy for obvious reasons. Fantastic player, had all the attributes. Even the Broncos were interested early on in the draft before going to Knicks, which I say in Knicks' favor was fantastic. Under the radar and Saxy with Jaden Daniels with the Commanders. So pretty much the Knicks was going to go into any team confident. And he's probably one of those experienced college players drafted into the NFL. I, I don't want to be throwing numbers, but it must have been a while. And I think it was the first three games of the season was very rusty. I wouldn't say rusty, but you can see that he was adjusting. And after week 4, week 5, he saw the talent. And of course, with McCarthy having a nasty injury, which you never like seeing any player, regardless on he like injured. But once Nick's found that mojo, and you can see with Peyton, with the experience he had, with his experience with young players throughout the years, that he was going to blossom. Um, the defense side, the Broncos were top 10, top 15 defensive teams for the last 2 years, possibly three for obvious reasons like Patrick Surtain, um, Allen. I could go on, and pretty much to find that nice balance, like any sport, you want a blend of youth and experience, and I think Peyton did that this year. Now, would 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 Knicks have second year syndrome? As we were talking off air, Trevor, anything could happen. People will probably be looking at the preseason record. Preseason, to me, and probably most people, it's nothing. And people tend to read too much into preseason, but once next week comes around, it's a different ball game. And with the players on the offense side about the Knicks, why not push for the playoffs again? Um, it's gonna be tough like any other year, but I think if the Broncos get a win, a first playoff win in 10 years, we'll all be happy. But as we've seen plenty times throughout the years, nothing's ever guaranteed or nothing's ever certain. So it only time will tell.
You're 100% right. Like as we speak now, it's still preseason, and you're correct in saying nothing will matter until Thursday night week, or for us Friday morning week when things kick off. But like a lot of people this year are tipping the Broncos to topple the Chiefs, and they're also a lot of people are tipping the Chargers to topple the Chiefs. Now, as a as a fan of a team that has good luck against the Chiefs and bad luck against the Chiefs at times with winning games, until you knock the Chiefs off officially, you cannot knock them off on paper. But is this team, in your eyes, this Broncos team for the 2025 season, A, capable of knocking the Chiefs off, and B, you as a fan, do you think they will knock the Chiefs off from winning 10 in a row, I think it is, on the AFC West?
Um, you'll always be confident in your team regardless. You know, we all don't have we all know how good the Chiefs are. Um, there's proof as it is. The, would the Broncos top the Chiefs? It's anybody's guess, but I wouldn't be surprised, Trevor, if they just nick it. Uh, what surprised me about the Chiefs this year was they've been more homegrown, from what I've heard. You've still got Patrick Mahomes, who we don't know who he's capable of, Kelsey, and all of that. But with the Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, but all rising up, eh, that's why people call it the tightest division in the whole National Football League. But as a fan, am I confident? Yes. I'm. I still have my guard up about them, as you never know when they're going to show up. But as I touched Trevor, I wouldn't be too surprised if they do just edge top seed over the Chiefs.
Very good. Yeah, like they have every chance. Um, it is one of the hardest divisions to call. Like if Pete, like you look at the head coaches, Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl, Sean Payton won a Super Bowl, Andy Reid has won three, and Jim Harbaugh has brought a team to a Super Bowl. So it is very, very, like, coaching wise, they have probably the best division of coaches in the NFL with experience and know-how and all that. So it will be interesting to see how things go on it. But we'll move on now to your other team, your Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, right, fair enough. There's four teams that can do it in the AFC West. In the AFC North, there's probably three teams and the Cleveland Browns. How have you seen, or what do you make of the preseason and the incomings for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And what are your thoughts on their upcoming season?
Um, Thankfully, Trevor, as you would have seen yourself, that over here we've thankfully got to watch most of the preseason games on the national television here. Um, I've I would be lying if I said I watched all of it. Well, I've probably watched a solid possibly two. Um, it's gonna it's a hard one to be quite honest, Trevor, as we haven't really seen much of Aaron Rodgers in the Steelers. Short, then there's a lot of questions. Would it be like his first year in Jets, where he got fingers crossed that he doesn't have a season-ending injury? So it it's definitely positive, but there's still quite a question mark on how it would all play out, as I haven't personally seen much of the offense side, especially with Rodgers, as it's all been Darren Rudolph. I want to say Darren is his first name, could be wrong, but it's mainly been the backup quarterback or the third choice quarterback. So, but like every year with Steelers, they'll be they'll be they'll be right up there, definitely for the wild cards. Probably they would have more of a better chance than the Broncos in the playoffs, especially progressing. Um, but and I believe they have some of the highest paid players in the division. Where I think JJ Raw recently signed, or TJ signed a new contract.
He did, yeah.
Oh, I want to say a few weeks ago, and apparently it's similar to Rodgers, probably less. And a lot of Steelers fans have been hearing that, okay, if Rodgers is getting this bumper contract and all these key players are getting bumper contracts, if Watt doesn't get it, what will happen? And I think if Watt did decide to request a trade, it could, I wouldn't say doom and bust, I meant to say. It would be slightly worried, but I think with the Steelers, it's still a question mark on how they'll actually get on. It could take them a few weeks to gel, or they could click straight away. So, with all the good signs there, there's still one or two question marks.
Yeah, like I have said it many times on this show, I don't question Aaron Rodgers of what he has done on the football field, but I do question Aaron Rodgers off the football field, be it in the dressing room and be it outside. And everything seems to be hunky dory between Tomlin and himself, and roses are red and violets are blue. But when he went to New York Jets, they were winning the Super Bowl. They got everything he asked, brought in all the weapons he wanted. He had his favorite offensive coach there. Um, now, in saying that, and like yourself, I would never wish injury on any player, no matter what. He was unfortunate on the first season to get that injury, but he came back, and last year he stunk. And for a long part of that season, now, he did improve near the end of it, but the part of it that stood out for me was the day the Jets played the Bills in Buffalo, and we mauled them, and it was 40-0, and they wanted him to go in for another play, and he turned around and he said no. Now, if you're a leader of a team, whether you're winning 100-0 or losing 100-0, you're the leader of that team. You'll have good days and you have bad days, but you just don't turn around and say no. And
That
I think Tyrod Taylor went in then. It, the Steelers are in a division where the Cleveland Browns are probably the weakest, but the Cleveland Browns still can beat you. But then you also have the Cincinnati Bengals, who for me have between quarterback and wide receiver the best three in football. As in, you have Joe Burrow, you have oh what's his name? Oh, it's gone from me now. It'll come back to me in a minute. But you have the best two wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Sorry, there no brain switches back on. But as in a partnership where you have two weapons that can hurt anybody and you have a quarterback that can hit anybody, that's probably the best in football. Now, the only downside to them is they don't have a defense. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens, where you have Lamar Jackson, uh, Derrick Henry, you have Bateman, you have Zay Flowers, you have guys again that they're loaded, right? And if Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers pre probably 2019, 2018 when he was at the Green Bay Packers, then the Steelers on the field have a great chance. Like they've got Derek Metcalf or DK Metcalf, sorry. They brought him in this year, and he'll add to that as well. But if Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers for me of 2021 onwards, where he was just a little brat and like a child throwing his toys out the pram any chance he got, then Mike Tomlin is putting an awful lot of trust, because Mike Tomlin's job for me is on the line this season. as great a coach as he is, he last year when they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Ravens, the fans went berserk because it was one and done again. Where if he gets them to the playoffs firstly and he doesn't get that one victory at least, then an awful lot of questions I feel will, or an awful lot of people will be calling for Mike Tomlin to move along. So
And
it
that's another thing I was going to say, Trevor, is you see coaches trying to handle these big superstars in their team, like Wilson with the Broncos. Wilson came in with this by far the biggest trade money, whatever you want to say, in history. Walked in, told Hackett, I want my own office. These are the plays I want to do. Can you deliver? Yes. Then turns out he Hackett lost his job, never never looked back. Went into Steelers, as you said. Tomlin had Ollie Watts. The list could go on. And if a coach can handle, it's easy bringing these big superstars in. Anybody can do it. It's if you have to bring them in and say, I'm the coach here. I'm gonna put this. It's either my way or the highway. And so far, some of the players you said there, Trevor, the coaches have a grip of them, like Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Jackson. They're grounded because the their coaches are stubborn. Not saying Tomlin or Hackett then, but you've seen him near the end of Wilson's tenure with the Broncos. Peyton wasn't having any of it, and you could literally see that famous fight on the sideline with. I say it was you could easily lip read what they were saying. Peyton wasn't having it. Then the morning after, he was benched. So going into it, you the coach has to be stubborn, even if he has to throw a few toys out out from like a baby. If if it means so and so or a group of people would play the way you want to play, that's the only option. If you don't do it, you can forget the objectives or plans you have because it's not going to happen.
no, you're 100% right. But it'll be interesting to see will Tomlin be the Mike Tomlin of previous years and deal with everything, or will Aaron Rodgers try like he did uh, with Robert Saleh to get him undercut, and when things weren't like Robert Saleh was there when they came, everything was rosy, winning Super Bowls, the media had them winning Super Bowls, then things weren't working, and then Rodgers started working behind the scenes. And I hope for Tomlin with his legacy because he is an amazing coach. But I hope for his legacy that if things get rough in Pittsburgh, he has the cojones to say, if Aaron Rodgers is the issue, hi, buddy, out. Good luck. Because you'll have more respect for him than if he lets them away with it and he costs them his job.
Definitely, and it's easier said than done. Of course, you'll be looking at bonuses out the window, but coaches won't care about that. It's about the team first and winning. If you don't deliver on what you said and what you told the media, they'll come to bite, they'll come and attack you like wild animals. So it's as you said, Trevor, it's either do what they say or you're gone. It's simple as that. And as they say, it's a team game. It's not the Aaron Rodgers show. It's not the Josh Allen show, or vice versa. It's
No,
it's as they say. There's as the saying goes. There's no I in team.
100%. Like in Buffalo, there's a saying now, and it worked last year. We got rid of our toxic player in Stefan Diggs, and we came out. Everybody eats, and everybody eats in Buffalo means everybody gets the ball that can get the ball. The best person in that position will get the ball. It's not I have to throw it to a one wide receiver only. All the other guys can run round and be open, but I have to throw to him. So that is a huge thing. And a team is what wins Super Bowls. It's not one player. It's not uh, one head coach. It's not one defensive player. It's a team. So, and if you go back over the years and watch the teams that win the Super Bowl, it's the team that wins. They will have stars, but it's the team that wins the Super Bowl.
Definitely, and like the Bills, as probably people would see in my Twitter, New York has a special place in my heart. And as I said in one tweet, there's only one real team in New York, and that's the Bills. And but you just see it with with the Bills Mafia, probably apart from being the craziest bunch of fans from videos I've seen, they're passionate. If if they see one slightest off turning in the game, and like most fans in the league, if they sense or sniff one bad egg or one little mistake, they'll pounce onto you until you fix it. So it's either buckle your belt or embrace for a long,
A
long
a
evening.
100%. 100%. Um, you're going to the game in Croke Park at the end of September when the Vikings come to see the Steelers. Um, in your in, to yourself, how big is this? Like you've gone to a lot of shows for Pro Football Ireland with Michael McQuaid and co, and Michael and Mark Hogan and uh, Jimmy English from Gaelic Gridiron. They've put in huge amounts of work. I know there's been others, but these are the guys I follow that weekly, and I've seen all the hard work. Both of them, both of their franchise, we call it, their groups have put in to get the Steelers a to come into Ireland, b to put on. I was at the party last year in Croke Park when the Steelers played the Colts, and it was an amazing afternoon and evening. I really enjoyed it. But see now to get a game here in Ireland, how much are you looking forward to it, and what will it do in your eyes for football, American football here in Ireland?
Um, just to go back to the whole work that Michael, Mark, Jimmy have all done. Now, like yourself, Trevor, they're, they've been fantastic to me personally throughout the number of years, and they deserve the whole world with the work they've done. And in our eyes, it's definitely not unnoticed. The whole country notices the work they've done, and no, I put my hand in if they ever needed an extra hand. But the work, as you said, they've done endless work day and night, and to make it all happen. So a whole credit to all of them. But what it means to the country, now I've been following football for I want to say all my life, but probably over the last 10 years, and I've always thought up until a few years ago I was the only NFL fan on the country, and then once I forgot how it blew up. I think it was the whole Steelers Croke Park announcement a few years ago. But since then, it was just massive, and you could see that the Irish fans, in particular, were crying out for a football game. We didn't care whatever could be the Bills, Eagles, Saints. We just wanted football to come to Ireland, and once reports were coming out that it could be a possibility of a league game and the Steelers coming to Dublin, you can't you cannot pretend and not get excited because it's a big thing, and it would be my first ever NFL game that I'll be attending to, which I've heard great things about the Steelers fans alone, but I think once day comes and once the world sees actually these guys from Ireland are actually serious about their ball. Hopefully, it would be the start of something we would see across the water in the UK. A few more teams coming regularly, probably extend the games out a little bit more. So it will be an exciting day for sure. Um, Definitely wasn't easy get trying to get to the game, as you know yourself, Trevor. It
Yeah,
was probably the most stressful ticket process I had, not including soccer. So, but as I kind of said, as we said at the start, Trevor, none of this could have happened if it wasn't for Michael, Mark, Jimmy, and everyone else.
yeah, 100%. Like I know there is other people working in the background, but for me, since I started doing this, Michael, Mark, and Jimmy, no more than yourself, have been there. They've helped me. They've guided me, talked to me, and um, I met the three of them. It was the first time I met the three of them together. Was at the Steelers party in Dublin last year, and they'll always. The great thing about them is, as busy as they are, they will always make time for you, and when that means an awful lot to me anyway, and to most people, where someone that they've been, um, you know, at Super Bowls, hosting, on is a Super Bowl way that for that week they're doing their show in with the likes of Pat McAfee and with the likes of all the other big sports broadcasters in the world, BBC, ESPN, and all them kind of places. But yet, when you meet them, or if you message them, or you get a chat with them, they'll take their time and they'll talk with you, and it means an awful lot, and they're gentlemen. And I'm delighted there's a game coming to Dublin, and I'm delighted all their hard work paid off, and it couldn't happen to nicer people.
Definitely, and as you said about the guys, as as I mentioned, I went to my first event last year when Phoebe came around, and the likes of Michael, and we've said numerous times on how great he was. Spotted me in the crowd, came over, pretty much. I was a nervous wreck going into it, as I didn't know what to expect,
Yeah,
but he was fantastic. And with Jimmy a lo- being a local in the town, it's fantastic. But and as you took the words out of my mouth, Trevor, they're just a bunch of nice blokes, and you could just see by the work and dedication and endless nights editing and all of that, it that it's it was a long process, as they say. It didn't happen overnight, so I'm hoping if they do watch this, that they can finally relax and enjoy the day at some degree.
oh, exactly. Because as much as it is the NFL's day, as it is the Steelers' day, as it is the Vikings' day, it is also their day as well, because their hard work has got it to this. And uh, I hope people in this country realize how much they have put into getting an NFL game to here and respect that because these guys definitely deserve it.
Definitely, and like as we said, hopefully it's the first of many. Um, Once I saw the news, I kept on saying to myself, I hope the Bills, for your sake, buddy, that come closer to home to see a game right at home. So, look, hats up to the guys, and yeah, like I'm sure Twitter will be blown up, or X. Don't want to get myself in trouble. Will be blown up. I want to say 3 or 4 weeks Sunday.
Oh, I think it'll be amazing because I've made my peace. I won't be at it, um, but I'll be watching it on TV and I'll be shouting for the lads. Ticketmaster made sure that happened. So, I
That
but
that
but I,
that that's a different story and topic altogether, Trevor.
it is. But I have like I was like you. I had heard things about the Bills coming. I thought there was the day before the team was announced who was playing the Steelers. There was two Bills players going on two different TV shows, and everyone thought in Buffalo it was they were going on to announce they're going to Ireland, and I really got excited. And then I found out it was the Vikings, and to be honest, it was a mini punch in the gut because I was kind of disappointed. But the Minnesota Vikings are an awesome football team, and it should be a great game. And everyone that's going, I wish nothing but a happy, dry, sunny day, and everyone enjoys it. And it's what everyone dreams of because it is. I want it to be as right for the teams, the fans, as I do for Michael McQuaid, Mark Hogan, and Jimmy English because them guys, along with others, but they're the three guys I know that have been busting their backside, and I just want it right for them, and I hope it is right for them.
And hopefully us as a nation will show the guys from Pittsburgh and Minnesota, and we're actually decent people without a sip of alcohol.
We are. So now the next thing I want to talk to you about is I'm going to ask you who do you think will win each of the 8 divisions. So it's a bit of crack, and then I'm going to ask you out of them teams, not the 8 teams you pick, but out of the rest of the teams, who do you think will be a wild card or a dark horse in the AFC in the NFC? So I'm going to do the NFC first, and I'm going to go to the NFC East. So who do you think will finish top out of the NFC East? The Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, or the Washington Commanders?
Ooh, I think this would possibly be the easiest of the eight. I think the Eagles surely would win this comfortably. I'm sure most people would see it. Um, I don't know if you've recently seen the newest documentary on the Cowboys. Um, I don't know what platform it's on, but got to watch a few episodes of that, and like I gave the Cowboys, I wouldn't say dog abuse, but found them quite co- cocky because so and so they're America's team. But after watching a few episodes of the documentary, there, I think it was on Netflix. 1 or 2 episodes. It hasn't changed my mind at all. Now, Cowboys fans will probably come here or on Twitter and say, "Dylan, we have so and so and so." You can be confident all you want, but there's no one. There's three. There's one great team and two better teams than the Cowboys in that division. But I can see, honestly, Trevor, I can't see anyone passing the Eagles. Like I hope I wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles top the division.
Okay. Well, I did my own picks there a few weeks ago, and I agree with you. I think the Eagles will win it. But um, the one thing that came out today was Terry McLaurin has signed a new 3-year deal with the Commanders. So he's getting it. I don't think there's any guarantee money, or there's been none mentioned yet. But he signed his 3-year deal with them worth $96 million, and he's getting a 30 million sign-on bonus. So he now will. I think him staying with the Commanders will make them a tougher gig to the Eagles, but I still think the more than in the AFC to beat the Chiefs, you have to beat the Chiefs. So, and in the NFC, in that division anyway, to beat the Eagles, then some team is going to have to go out and actually beat the Eagles. So, the NFC North, there's the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh,
Who do you think will win that division?
it's actually quite a tasty one once you mentioned those four teams. It could be anyone. It could be the Packers, Lions, Vikings. I think those three teams that I mentioned, Trevor, will probably be tight, very tight. But because on how much I love a passionate coach and a coach who never is afraid to express how he's feeling, I have to go for the Lions. Uh, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers or the Vikings push the Lions vice versa to the very end. But it will be very interesting to see how that division will turn out.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of them divisions that I think there's three teams that can win it. Um, and Ben Johnson will improve the Chicago Bears, but it'll all depend on will Caleb Williams improve when this season really kicks off. Like the first few plays he played against the Bills, he looked awesome, but it was the Bears' first team against the Bills' second team. So there's no, he won't know what it's like until, or we won't know what it's like until he goes into competitive action. Um, the NFC West, again, it's another hard division, I think, to call. The Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco 49ers, or the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh, yeah, it's definitely another tight one. I want to say the 49ers dominated that division for a period of time. It's actually with the Seahawks, but like the last division, it's anybody's game. But I think purely based on quality, I want to say the 49ers might just nick it. But as you said, Trevor, it's another tight division. Any out of those four teams or three, we never know, could nick it.
Yeah, it is like, as you said earlier, Dylan, this year is very, very hard to call of who's going to actually stand up and stand out from everyone else because there is brilliant teams with all the trades and drafts and everything that's been done. Um, I think it's brought the guys that were way up. Not that they've got any worse, but it's brought them down because other teams have come up with them. It's just it'll be interesting to see will when it comes to the day will these teams produce.
Yeah, it's pretty
The
much. I think what people would probably say is the standards went up,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised if we see it this year, Trevor, that the standards, teams, players' expectations would go up a notch, and that's why I kept on saying that it's going to be the tightest year that we had in a long while, and
Yeah,
hopefully it stays like that.
oh yeah, 100%. It makes it more interesting if you're picking the winner and you're getting it right all the time, you get bored getting it right. You have to have something in there that will you know change things up. And the more teams that are up there, even if your team is losing, but to better teams, it makes you have to become a better team to catch up to them, and it makes things better. Um, the NFC South, you have the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who is your winner, do you think, in that division?
Ooh, it's going to be a two-team race, I think. As you can tell, I haven't planned any of these whatsoever, but
Oh,
uh, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to go completely random here, Trev, and I'll probably go for the Saints, guys. Why not? As you just said, you you want to see someone different winning, and uh, the more you see the same team clinching the division year in year out, like the Premier League, like soccer, it's gonna get boring. So might as well we change up somewhere.
exactly. And in the NFC, out of all the teams that we've mentioned so far, leaving out the winners of the division, who do you think it may be a dark horse in that division?
There's definitely a good chunk of good teams that could be a dark horse, and that's why we keep on saying that this year's the tightest any of these teams can be a dark horse. But if I had to pick one, mainly based on how impressed I've been with this team, especially over the last 2 years, maybe year, it has to be the Green Bay Packers. Um, pretty much since Rodgers went, a lot of question marks were being asked. How will Green Bay get on? Will they survive without Rodgers? Will they find that next big thing? And look, Lo- Love didn't have the best year last year. All of you can look at all the top quarterbacks, past and present. They all had one terrible year. Will it define their year? No. So I think, especially as early as Love's NFL career, and it just shows that he's well done capable. But as we said a lot, Trevor, any team can be a dark horse,
They can.
but the Packers for me,
The Packers for you.
I've just been impressed with them over the last 2 years, and you could see the progress they've been doing year on year since Rodgers went, and I wouldn't be surprised if this year would be any different.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur has done a great job with them, and if Jordan Love can stay fit and produce what they believe he can, uh, and become the player they believe he can, then by all means they could be very much a dark horse for the NFC. We'll move on to the AFC. So the AFC South, you have the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Tennessee Titans.
Um, well, straight off the bat, I'm gonna rule out the Jags. There's something about the Jags that I never liked. Um, Trevor Lawrence has had on and off setbacks with injuries. Never really picked up a decent way of form. Um, Texans Texans are for me an up and down team. They could be doing well for 2 or 3 games, then dip. Um, they'll be up and down between the second spot and third. Um, Rams, uh, God knows. Same with the Titans. It will probably be a battle between them two. But again, to change things up, Trevor, I might have to edge it for the Titans.
Yeah, Cam Hayward's first season at quarterback. Uh, they have huge expectations for him, and from what I've heard, they have improved the offensive line to protect him and got him receivers to throw the ball to. So it could be you could be right. Now the next one you're going to love. The next two groups. So it's the AFC West. You have the Denver Broncos, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Los Angeles Chargers, or the Kansas City Chiefs. Who, Dylan, is going to win that division?
Honestly, Trevor, I was really hoping you would keep that division last. Um, Look, we all know what that division's like. If you don't, YouTube it. But look, why not? I'm gonna go for. I have to go for my beloved Broncos. Um, like, a lot of pundits and people are tipping them to top it, and I'm sure Peyton will have that team not buying, or I won't say buying, but ignoring outside media. And look, it's good. Doesn't take a lot to see what is the toughest. So, look, it's gonna be tough. Um, Definitely dreading it. Um, uh, but I think it would be another stepping stone for the Broncos to build on. And I'm going to say now, besides them topping the division, they will beat the Chiefs with their fully strength squad. I know a lot of people were saying that they bet them last year, but it was their second string team. They already clinched the playoffs, but this year I could see the rivalry tensing. Won't be surprised if there's a few brawls breaking out, but it would it would be it would definitely put me at ease, Trevor, to see the Broncos top it.
Oh yeah, because you have every chance. It's not a team just put together. It's been built in the last since Sean Payton took over, and they have a quarterback as we spoke about earlier. And at some stage, someone has to beat the Chiefs. Well, in that division. So the Chiefs have been amazing over the last 9 years, and they're still going to be a very hard team to beat. But um, someone has to do it, and why not Denver? The next division is the AFC North, and it's the Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who
Yeah,
is going to win that?
well, we could mention this quite a bit, Trevor. Another good but tough division to choose from. Three, four great teams, three definitely challenging. Um, my heart stays the Steelers, but my brain stays the Bengals. Pretty much based on Borrow and pretty much Borrow speaks for himself. So and that extra bit of pressure for them to make another Super Bowl appearance, um, and seeing documentaries and interviews that Borrow and vice versa players had saying, look, if we don't push, we'll never make it. So the top that division, Trevor, I will have to go for the Bengals.
Very good. And the last division is the AFC East. And it's the Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, or the New York Jets.
Oh, I think this is probably the easiest. But it's never easy, Trevor, isn't
No,
it?
no, no.
But it has to be the Bills. Um, like we can do a whole different episode or show on my love for Buffalo, New York, and obviously one real New York team there, and that will definitely get the Jets fans sparkled. But but like the Bills, they have a world class team. Um, will I see a team competing up there? Possibly. Um, but on on paper, no one comes close to the Bills, and it will be hopefully another successful year for the Bills.
Well, I'm hoping they addressed the defense last year, the defensive issues that we came up short with a lot of good signings. But paper is one thing, proof is another, and we'll. It's like every team. Every team has improved from last year, but it's what they do on the field will show what improvements they have. And like for me, for the Bills, I do think, and it's not being cocky or pig-headed about it or anything. I do think we will win the division, but we can't take anything for granted. And we are in a stage where we have a team that's Super Bowl ready. Now, being Super Bowl ready and getting to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl are two totally different things. But with what the work that Brandon Bean, Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, Babbage has done this year on both sides of the ball, getting the contracts done with the players we wanted to keep and bringing in the players that we think will make the difference on the defensive side. Joey Bosa for one, like um, it's 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 going to be a season now where, dare I say, like Arsenal in the Premier League football, Arsenal were always short a couple of players to really either topple Man City or topple Liverpool to win the Premier League. They've now bought their striker that we were short. They've now bought their like every player that was on the list that Arsenal wanted at the start of the season. They now have it. The Buffalo Bills are exactly in the same position. So now it's time to deliver, and time will tell whether we'll deliver or not. But for the Bills, there isn't. There may be this year and next year with that team, but there isn't 5 more years with that team if we don't win a Super Bowl.
No,
So
and I've always said it, Trevor. And I don't want people thinking because how good of a friend you are and that I'm on the show, but I've always said the Bills for me have always been up there for Super Bowl contention. And as you said, and I've said a good few times that they've clearly missed a piece in that puzzle to give them that extra push. And now have they found a missing piece? Time will tell. As you said, it will be in the next year or two where it will define it. But and you'll definitely know better than me. But I think they found it. It's if it's how quickly they'll gel with the new players, young players, and actually go for it. And we said quite a bit on the show, like how open this year is, and they'll be looking and rubbing their hands and actually thinking this is gonna be our year. And do they want another heartbreak? Definitely not. And I say the fans and yourself are the exact same. You don't want another heartbreak or falling at the last hurdle.
No, you're right. Like, w- I'm still bitter about the AFC Championship game last year because the year that the rest the season up to that point was absolutely second to none as a Buffalo Bills fan. And I don't have anything against the Chiefs because the Chiefs didn't make the calls the referees made that night. And the two huge calls was the fourth and one that was should be a first down to Buffalo, and the pass from in it was in the first or second quarter where it wasn't a catch on the 1 yard line, wouldn't have been a catch to anyone else, but was for the Chiefs, and they got scores out of it. And the Chiefs got their comeuppance in the Super Bowl, and fair play to the Eagles, but that's how close we were. Now I'm a Mayo man, and I know all about heartache in All Ireland finals. And how I look at football anymore is one time I would take heart that it would all come down to the Super Bowl or the last day of the season for the Premier League or the Champions League final or Sam Maguire All Ireland final day. And if your team was there and didn't win it, you were heartbroken. Yes, a man will or woman would still be heartbroken if their team lost, but they also have to look at, and this is what I do anymore, is the journey to get there. And last year, the Buffalo Bills exceeded the expectations of a lot of people because they lost Stephon Diggs, they lost Gabe Davis. They didn't really replace them with big name players. But yet, when it became a team game and everybody eats, we became a team that was frightening to most teams. And they scored 30 points in 8 games, which is a franchise record. I'm not sure if it's an NFL record, but a franchise record. They went undefeated at home last year, which is again another record. And it if the Chiefs went out and bet us by 40 points in the AFC Championship game, you go, we got so far, it was brilliant. We have to move on. But the way that game played out, I just can't let it go. It's going to be in here forever. There's always one or two of them. But for this year, we have got the players and defense that we're missing. Now, I'm still worried about safety. I have a concern in that position, but we won't know until the season starts whether have improved there. But defensive line, we have improved. We've improved with getting players in to stop the run, to stop the pass. So then it'll come down to the guys in the backfield, whether they're up for it or not, and hopefully they are. I think we've done some good business. In the offensive side, we lost Matt Collins, which I think is a huge loss, as in morale wise. He was also a very good footballer, but he also brought that extra bit of edge, you know, even with on the special teams. And we brought in now whether he makes the 53 or not, KJ Hamler. I think is a brilliant fit for that character. I've seen him on Hard Knocks, and he is also a good footballer. But Keon Coleman, a wide receiver, is apparently playing awesome in training camp. Dalton Kincaid, who we put a lot of investment in the draft, no more than Keon Coleman, he's also playing very well. And if these two guys can move on from last year, and you have Kahil Shakir, you have Dawson Knox, you'll have the three running backs, Cook, Davis, and Ty Johnson, and then you've got the difference maker, which is Josh Allen. Then this is your time. So it's about grasping it, Dylan, and taking it. Because if you go through the AFC South, I'm not bothered about. The AFC West, you'll always have the Chiefs, but now you have the Chargers and the Broncos really stepping up, and you have the Raiders starting to step up. You look at the AFC North, you have the Ravens already there. If the Bengals can get a defense, they're going to be frightening, and the Steelers are there. And then you look at the AFC East, and in 2 or 3 years' time, that Patriots team will be knocking on the door, fighting you for the top position. That New York Jets team will be knocking on the door because Aaron Glynn will improve them, and I've already seen signs that he will. And it'll always the Dolphins will always have flair, but will they have a bit of grit? I don't know whether it's Mike McDaniels or whoever's in charge. So now we have our window, and if we don't take this chance, you don't know when that window comes again. And Josh Allen is at his peak, so now is the time. They know it. I know how hard they're trying. I follow things very closely over there. And you're right, Dylan. It's one of the most amazing places. Like um, I wouldn't say this about anywhere. Where I live, I love, and this is where I'm going to live. But if I was to ever live anywhere else, it'd be in South Buffalo because it's Ireland, but it's also the Buffalo Bills, and they're passionate and they love Ireland and they love Buffalo, and it's an amazing place and amazing people. But but this is we're in this window now where, as a Bills fan, before these other teams, the likes of the Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, we know the Ravens are there, we know the Chiefs are there. Before the Patriots and the Jets, just in the AFC, come up and start really putting pressure on you. We have this gap where we have to go now and say, now is the time. Only time will tell, and it'll be interesting to see. But um, it is a huge, huge, huge season for Sean McDermott and for the Buffalo Bills.
And knowing what it's like to have a team as an underdog, as you probably see my yourself, Trevor, I'm a Drogheda United fan.
Yeah.
Went on to win the FAI Cup as heavy underdogs, and look, that's a different story for a different day. But the Bills would be my underdogs into this division, and as you said, and I said, this is pretty much the best best option. Well, I won't say option, but best time for the Bills to go that extra four to get that extra push, go step further, make a Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, as you said it and I said, and I'm sure people watching will definitely agree that the Bills fans on their day are the best and scariest bunch of fans to play. And once that winning feeling comes in, and that feeling of winning combined, it's by far the best feeling that you'll ever get.
Oh,
And to be quite honest, I wouldn't be surprised, Trevor, if they do make that extra push. We could be looking at this in 8 9 months time, and just laughing how mental these predictions are, and one of them actually came true. So like this time next week, I'll be locking my door and try not scream at the telly, but it will be a long but hopefully a exciting season.
hopefully so. Um, it'll be an interesting opener with the Eagles and the Cowboys, and from then on, 18 weeks of regular season and then the playoffs. So it's something to look forward to over the winter months. The last thing we'll talk about tonight, I know neither of us were at it and we've only seen a small bit of it, but the college game in Dublin last Saturday, the atmosphere on the telly seemed to be amazing between Kansas State and Iowa State. It was a huge game. Again, there was the Gaelic Gridiron and Pro Football Ireland, Jimmy, Michael, and Mark, and the rest of the boys and girls there did an awful lot of work to get it there. But it did seem to go down. The only thing that was wrong was the weather, but it turned out to be an exciting game at the end.
Yeah, it was from what I've seen on Twitter, even the day before, it looked fan- it looked fantastic, and it was something we all would have loved to be a part of. And as you said, it was a shame about the weather, but as it showed on ESPN that both Iowa and Kansas fans didn't let that stop them, and
No.
I believe not long after, everybody wearing G in the man's pub, and it looked absolutely fantastic. I believe a few Irish celebrities were there. Sheamus, the WWE star, but like it looked great from a fan's perspective. Game, game, game wise, um, in the few minutes I've watched the Trevor, it looked very one-sided, and only one team was going to win, and that turned out to be Iowa. Um, Again, conditions definitely didn't help, but that's what training camps were for. But look, you could make any any excuse, but the weather definitely didn't help. But I say the fans were just delighted that football's back every Saturday, and I say for those who experienced Ireland and Dublin for the first time, definitely enjoyed it. So it would be an experience for them to remember.
It will surely. And next year, if Bill Belichick is still in charge of North Carolina, he's bringing his team over, and I think that'll even raise the expectations more because they are getting bigger and bigger games every year. The quality that's coming over is improving. Like that was a huge game last weekend. It was two of the top. Is the big SEC 12 or
I
I don't follow
I
college
think
football.
I think they were saying before that. Um, I think before that, I think it was pretty much the top 10 college teams that played before last weekend's game. I'm like yourself, Trevor. I like watching the college game, but my knowledge wouldn't be the best. But it would probably be two of the top teams outside the top 10. But once it's week zero, none of that really matters. But as you said, hopefully, if Bill Belichick is still around this time next year and bringing his team to the Aviva, it will be. I will have no doubt that it will be the exact same experience build up as we've seen over the last few days.
Yeah, like yourself, seen the videos from Dublin City and the stuff they had on and the with the cheerleaders with the big American football that was up. I don't know. It must be down near Temple Bar or wherever, and the J.R. Mahons what they had on and the whole lot and the other pubs up there. That it must have been a wonderful, wonderful weekend and an enjoyable weekend. But look, like you said, I watch when I can some college football. I pick up a few bits and pieces here and there, but I'm more the NFL, and that's the part I enjoy of it. And I know these players will become NFL stars, but it's the NFL for me. It's hard enough to keep up with that.
Honestly, as you said, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that to follow another team, especially in the college game. On top of that, I don't know how people do it. So hats up to them. I'm going to be like yourself, Trevor. Stick to the stick to the football league. With my League of Ireland and all that as well. Don't think I have the heart room for one more team to add.
No, it's enough. We have to draw a line somewhere.
Oh, been seeing that for years, Trevor, and I'm still don't know how I'm managing. Still sticking on ESPN every Sunday evening. I meant Saturday evening.
Just to see. So that is it. So Dylan, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight. Um, it's a pleasure. It's a long time coming, but it's great to have you on.
Thank you, Trevor.
We've over an hour and a quarter done, so it has flown by. So it has.
Only
Um,
it only felt like 5 minutes ago.
that's for sure. Tomorrow night's show, I have a special show I have with Therese, our Tuesday show. We have a very special guest, former Buffalo Bills, former uh, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Indianapolis Colts legend Will Wolford is joining the show. So it'll be starting at 9 p.m. Irish time, 4 p.m. US Eastern time, and 1 p.m. US Western time for anyone that's watching this and wants to follow it. Um, it's going to be brilliant. He will be my third Buffalo Bills player on the show. He's also the third player from the 90s team. And I'm looking forward to it. I met Will when I was over at Buffalo, and he's a gentleman. He also played for the Pittsburgh Steelers when they were in Croke Park back in 1997. So I'm looking forward to the chat, and we see what the crack is. And Dylan, look, thank you very much, sir, for coming on tonight. Um,
It's a pleasure, as always, my friend.
and same here, and thank you. And as always, my friends, until tomorrow night, uh, stay safe, stay happy. And from myself, go Bills. And from Dylan, it's go Steelers
I'm
and
going.
go Broncos.
I'm going to sit on the fence for this one.
Thank you, sir. So good night,
Thank
folks,
you,
and we'll
Trevor.
see.